Hey, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trendy Trading. Today is the 27th of November 2022. This week's BMA will be covering the 27th into the 2nd of December. Let's go ahead and get started. So, first things first, you guys can see Earning Whispers here out on Twitter. This is my favorite to use for upcoming earnings. And as you can see, we have some good names coming in. So, over here, we have Intuit, CrowdStrike, Workday. Moving on over into Wednesday, Snowflake, Salesforce. You guys get the point. There's still good names out here that are reporting this week. You can go over here and visit this site to get those great names. And of course, if anything looks like a setup, we'll look to cover the analysis on those names before earnings, and then we'll look at potentially trading those after earnings as well. Let's go ahead and move on to the U.S. economic calendar. Again, this is free information that's out there, and you can use this URL here to see the same stuff. And I use this to figure out what kind of catalyst in the market could disrupt the market or just be aware of anything that's out there. As you can see, it's really busy this week. So Monday, it starts off with some Fed speakers and so forth. Tuesday, it's a little quiet, and then Wednesday just gets absolutely crazy with a lot of econ information, and with again Jerome speaking on the mic at 1:30. Thursday just as long, more Fed speaking, more econ data. So this entire week is filled with catalysts that can move the market. So very important to understand that as we come back from the holidays. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's go ahead and take a look at this week on the SPY. So first thing, I'm going to show you actually the bigger picture. So on the monthly, I'm going to go over the notes with you here. And so this is what I have. I'm going to read these first and point them out with my drawing tool so you can see what I'm talking about. The monthly is an inside and up, and highly probable that we close inside and up, but anything can happen with 3 days left before the close of the month. All right, so that inside and up that we're looking at, this is your inside candle. This is the up formation right there. And as you can see, it is inside and up. And what I'm talking about as far as 3 days are concerned, just come up here and click on the calendar. We have tonight, tomorrow, regular trading hours, 29th, and then 30th, and then the December 1st starts on Thursday. So again, inside and up formation. The next line I'd like to read to you, we made it above the cloud. This is bullish, but again, can we close above this? Let me go ahead and zoom in to show you. Notice that the cloud is here above, or sorry, the candle is above the cloud. So what happens is this cloud then becomes support, but again, we have 3 days left. Anything can happen. Next sentence, keep in mind we are in supply, but the bullish channel of the last 2 months is a focus. If we're to get a deep pullback, then I would be looking at buying in between these two zones. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So again, we're in this monthly zone right here. You guys can see that with the red box. So anytime we're in supply, be careful. We've just barely moved over the cloud. So again, we don't know if it's going to be support yet. And the third thing that I just mentioned was our bullish channel from the last 2 months. And that's these two numbers here. So 390.8 by 382.75. This is the bullish channel of this formation and of this rally, and we know what that means. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. So my overall sentiment going into SPY this week, it looks it looks bullish, but again, those three topics I'm talking about, can we hold above for the next 3 days? Then things start to look better for that test up into our next target around 408.96 or 409.410 level. Okay, so again, that's SPY. And let's go into, we're going to pull up Thinkorswim. So this here, folks, this is the neutral strategy. So instead of me talking about it, just take a quick snapshot of this. Again, targets to the upside or resistance until proven otherwise. One thing to note here, there's a wide spread between 404 and 408. If these are too wide for you, one thing that you could do is just take a Fibonacci, place it between the 408 and 404, and you can look to trim somewhere up here towards the 38.2 at 406. This is just a tool that can help you between two targets, and you just use the Fibonacci for scaling out. Okay, to the downside, I'm looking for these levels to be support. I still find the market to be bullish. notice a little bit different on the blueprint this week is that I have this really subdued line here at 395.71. I'm just locating a 4 hour zone, and I went ahead and annotated that for you. And the reason why I put this here is just in case, let's say that the market gaps down, it breaks through these levels, it breaks through target one, and then we come into this zone. This is where I'd expect to see buyers come in. And of course, I'd be coaching you guys here in the room on how to trade that or how to at least approach that trade. Okay. So again, that's SPY. Those are the levels that I'm looking at. Over here on the weekly, don't worry about this being scrunched up. I just want to show you, what we're looking at as far as the channel is concerned. We still have supply up here towards the 422 level, and that is my target as long as these bullish levels continue to hold. That is where I think we are headed to into the end of the year for right now. Again, as long as the bullish levels that I'm showing you on the higher time frame actually hold. Okay. Let's go ahead and minimize this. We're going to go into QQQ for the bigger picture. And just like the SPY, let me go ahead and read a couple notes to you. The monthly inside and up, but it is weak. And we still have 3 days left, as I said. Price continues to struggle in the cloud, but continues to hold the bullish channel. Notice the banner for the month is still bullish. Let's go ahead and go over that. We'll zoom in. So notice that we have an inside and up formation so far. I say it looks weak because really from the time that we went over this base candle here and went inside and up, we really haven't moved much at all. Notice that the cloud is getting tighter. Okay, so there could be a big move coming up. And I do like the fact that it's holding the cloud. I just don't like that we're at the lower end of the cloud. It would be much nicer if it were like SPY, where we're actually starting to break out. So you can see the SPY is leading and the NASDAQ has been basically stalling. Okay. Now, there are some positives about this. Okay, notice that the monthly, as I said in my sentence there, the monthly is extremely bullish. Again, guys, these banners are here for a reason. These are my Fibonacci, and basically looking back at different time frames, we're looking at bullish and bearish channels and kind of pinpointing where we are in those time frames. And this, instead of you going back and doing the work, it's right here for you. Okay. All right. So the bullish channel of the last 2 months, well, that falls between 284.10 and 278.39. And if we open up here, you can see we're at 286. So we're still above that. That is a positive. But again, we have 3 days. It's a little bit weaker than the SPY. Next thing I want to talk about, overall sentiment is neutral with a sprinkle of optimism. That's right. Looks decent. And there is potential here for a big run up. And I love risk to reward. And what I'm saying is, if this is my risk, meaning this is my bullish channel, we're pretty close to that. All right. So I'm not going to take a big stop out if I'm gunning for the inside and down or the supply zone here. So I like my risk here, all right, to put behind this trade, and I'm looking for the QQQ to run up into supply, a lot like what the SPY has done. The SPY is leading. It's holding inside the supply zone, whereas the Qs have not quite made it there yet. So is SPY showing us something, or is tech in trouble? We'll know here soon. Again, we have 3 days to go, folks. All right, let's go ahead and then move back into the SPY. And we'll go here. We're going to look at the same numbers. Now, this is the neutral strategy, just in case I didn't say that. I want to give you the bigger picture, but I also want to be able to act. I want to be able to trade. So this is why we create these blueprints here, is so that we're just not stuck on the bigger picture, because we know that other traders are also trading smaller time frames. Notice over here, again, we have the numbers to the downside and upside. Numbers to the upside are resistance until proven otherwise. Numbers to the downside are considered support until proven otherwise. My overall sentiment on the Qs, like I said, I like the risk to reward. I like that it pulled back on Friday, literally almost right into a 4 hour demand zone or buy zone. So I'd love to see, if we gap down just a little bit tonight, will we go bid in here? I would think we would. And so this is important. I'm just going to touch up on the strategy itself. Just because we're in the neutral doesn't mean we don't have to trade it. I can be aggressive. So even see how 285.15 is your red line. It is lower than current price. So for any reason, and I explain this on how to trade my neutral strategy, if we come down into this level, I'm actually looking to go long off of this. And then I can trade this in the neutral, and then I'm trimming at my levels, okay? So again, 285.15 is going to be support until it's not, 283.90, 282.12, and so forth. These are support levels. Overall, I like the risk to reward. As far as the 4-hour supply, I went ahead and annotated that as well. This could be a big stopping factor, but if for some reason this 4-hour zone works, that's a nice move into the 291. If we indeed start to build any kind of value above 291.32, then we can see 293, 297, and 300. Again, these are the neutral levels for QQQ. Let's go ahead and move on. The next thing that we want to look at is going to be the dollar. That's going to be DXY. And for anybody using Thinkorswim, that's $DXY on your platform. Everything is working perfect here. So far, things are going as planned. I can't make this stuff up. We've really done a really good job of trading in the right direction of the market for many, many weeks now. And I have to owe it to a lot of this analysis that we're laying out for you before the market opens every weekend here at Trendy Trading. Notice that price did go inside and down. We were looking for the dollar to move down as long as it broke below this base. Our first target, as I pointed out weeks ago, was the cloud support. And then what we did was we found the bearish channel of this move down. Okay, we anticipated we would hit this level, and so even on the bounce and when the market was going down a little bit there for a day or two, we were focused on, I was focused on this, and as long as the dollar wasn't bidding over 108.55, then guess what? I want to remain on the bull side. Notice that we came all the way back down to cloud support. If for some reason we start to break down below that support, again, inside and up, it price hits here, I expect a bounce and for the market to turn down. This means if we come into this area and we start to bounce, I want to be cautious on the long side. Okay, now all of this is going to synergistically come together, and I want to show you that by looking now into the TNX. Here's your treasury. Everything's going as planned here as well. Again, looking at the monthly, this is an inside candle. We still have 3 days to go. We're not sure if it's going to stay inside, but it's also trying to hold a 38.2, which puts us around 3.647. So again, let me make sure I got these numbers right. 3.667, yeah, somewhere in there. Okay, so if we break down below there, same thing as the dollar, we could be looking for price to come down here into the 50, which would be 3.43, and then to the 618 around 3.218. Where's everybody talking about the treasury pushing up through the possible resistance that we had before? It's not happening, is it? Notice how all the bad news kind of came at the top of the treasury, moving into these levels that we have set out before, and everything is working out quite well for right now. Okay, so again, TNX also looking like a possible inside, but we don't know until next month if we start to go inside and down and so forth. Okay, so a little bit of caution there with bigger beta names. All right, let's go ahead and move into the skew. And again, if you don't know what the skew is, you can actually Google that. And it's basically your hedge funds, okay? And what I'm looking at are my annotations here, risk on, risk off, and so forth. All right, so I said this many, many times before. You look at it on a weekly, not a monthly. Notice the big spike there towards the end of the week. That doesn't really have me too fearful, and I'll show you how that plays into the fear and greed here in a second. So, sure, it's rising, and we want to be cautious to the long side when we are rising. Now, as far as my notes here, I believe the skew has room to push towards 135 by 145, 135 by 145 before we start to think about a down cycle in the market. And again, taking you back to the dollar, this makes sense, okay, on, far as distance price needs to travel on both sides of that. This would move up as the market moves up, the skew would rise, right? So you would have something like this. It'd be rising into that 135, 145 level that I'm talking about. And then you would have the dollar reaching down into that inside and up that I just showed you. And when those start to synergistically come together, I definitely want to be a little bit more cautious. Now, where does that put me when it comes to the fear and greed? Well, check this out. All right, now I want you to think about what I just said. Close your eyes. The dollar needs to come in into that inside and up. Okay, the skew could rise to 135 by 45, and that would push our greed index, okay, over to the extreme greed. And now we have three things that are lining up. Matter of fact, more things would line up than that. If you think about it, the Qs and the SPY would be reaching at the back end of its supply zone, and the Qs would be reaching up into the supply zone finally. And then all three of these, the dollar, the skew, and the fear and greed, would be exactly where they need to be for us to start to get cautious on our longs and then be looking for potential hedges like put debit spreads and things like that on names that might be extended at the moment. But again, I'm waiting patiently for these things to line up. Now, what if none of that comes true? All right, and we just open up tonight and we gap down. Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. That means what I'm going to do again is I want to make sure, okay, that I'm coming over to the SPY and the Qs on a higher time frame, and I'm paying attention to these bullish zones. Okay, so again, these bullish zones are going to remain buy levels for me if we were to come into there. Now, that's all I have to say. My overall sentiment for these charts is really what I ended with. We need all of those to start to line up for me to be cautious. I'm still a bull into tonight. I'm looking to buy the dip, continue to buy the dip until things change, and I've already told you what needs to take place. Now, for my future traders, instead of me covering things here on the BMA, I make it really straightforward. I've given you charts on the ES and the NASDAQ. The ES, please take a look at your weekly, your daily, and your 4 hour. Matter of fact, I'll throw this in as a little bonus here towards the end. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right, so here is ES futures, and you guys know how I do this. Here's your weekly. Okay, so inside and up so far, we've gone from red to white candles. We're still stalling at the top of this cloud. We have not broken and held over this. Notice that the SPY has, but here on the ES futures, maybe a tad. No, it looks like it's right there. Okay, so if we go inside and up and things start to break to the upside, look for resistance around 40.97, 40.95. Be careful. The market gets a little wonky around the round numbers. So everybody will be pushing for 4100, and most times, not all the time, okay, but since we're talking about it, Murphy's Law, most times we stall around a round number, and that's unfortunate. Okay, so just be cautious. It's like this psychological thing. That's all I'm saying. All right. Now, as we move into the daily, our focus here is going to be the 200. Notice that last time we came into the 200, it definitely was a time for us to be careful. And you would think that you're smarter than the market, right? You're like, okay, well, the first time, but would you do it? Would you make it that obvious and pull back on the second time? Don't find yourself trying to speculate. Just use levels. If we break over this 200 day on the ES futures, use that as a support level. So you're going to notice that the price bubble over here, once we get there, look over here, and if we can sustain and hold above there, and as long as we can hold that, look for prices to continue to the upside, and that's where you come over here and use the daily. I'm looking for 40.83, resistance at 40.95, and we could see a nice pullback around 41.31 and a half, but again, only if the lower time frame supports that idea. Okay, and I teach you guys how to do that by using the TTM Squeeze Pro. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can reach out to me, but I'm pretty sure our Trendy members know what we're looking for there on the smaller time frame when we reach these levels. Now, same thing on the resistance, just so I note there, we can also look to go short around the resistance if the lower time frame supports that idea. Again, the risk and reward needs to be there, okay? All right, so next thing that we want to look at is the 4 hour. I'm actually going to go over this on Twitter. I'm going to make a video. If you have time, please go out and support that video. Give us a like and a retweet. And I'll cover the 4 hour and the 30-minute zones on this chart for the week just to kind of help some traders out that might be having a hard time. Again, I really appreciate you guys. We have a Cyber Monday sale that just came out on the PMZ and the PMZ indicator or scanner. And that's almost 50% off. If you guys would just check that deal out in your membership channel. So on Discord, up to, let's see, if you go to Discord and you look on the left, it's called membership and indicator room or channel. You can check it out there. There is a link there if you are interested. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Again, I appreciate you guys. We can't wait to trade with you. See you tomorrow morning. Have a nice day.